Greetings everybody and welcome to Parts Financials, where we help people with their finances. My name is Arash Shahriari, an IRS enrolled agent, and in this video, as part of the tax series video, I'm going to speak to you about the home office deduction, everything that you need to know. In the first part of the video, we're going to go through the series of slides, and in the second part, I'm going to give you an actual example in Schedule C to further explain everything. So without further ado, let's get into it. So before we get started, let's clarify one question that many people ask. Do I need to prove my home office usage? So you don't need to partition, or you don't need to take pictures of your home space to prove anything. But if you do partition or you do take pictures, it certainly does help you if you run into a situation where IRS wants to examine you or audit you, and you can, it just helps you trying to back up your home office deduction. So to get started, what is a home office deduction? Home office deduction allows taxpayers to deduct a portion of their home expenses attributed to their business use of the home from their gross business or trade income. So essentially, if you're using a portion or section of your home as your office doing your trade or business related work, it allows you to deduct your housing expenses. Can be either owned or leased. Whether you're renting or owning, this potential is available for you. Now, who can deduct home office deduction and on what form? So there are different type of taxpayers out there, and in the same manner, there's a different form based on what type of taxpayer you are that you need to use. If you are a sole proprietor, that is, you're reporting your income on your Schedule C of Form 1040. So you would use Form 8829. In the same manner, if you're a farmer and you need to report your income on Schedule F, use the same Form 8829. If you're a single member LLC, you also will be using Schedule C or F depending on the basically type of the income that you're having, and likewise you will be using Form 8829. For partnerships, if you're an active owner, you would be using Schedule E as part of your Form 1065 as an unreimbursed partner expense. If you are the S-Corp employee or a shareholder, as well as if you're a corporate employee. So there's this thing called accountable plan, and I'm just going to briefly go over it to give you some ideas about it. Essentially, what an accountable plan is an agreement between employees and a corporate entity, which allows the employees who incurred expenses in doing their work to make a log of their expenses and present it to their employer, and the employer will reimburse them the amount. And the beauty of that is that it would not be counted as income on W-2 for the employee, the amount that was given to them. And in the same manner, the employer is able to deduct that expense from their gross income from the trade or business that they're having. So if you happen to be an employee of a S-Corp or shareholder of a S-Corp, as well as an employee of the corporation, and you do have this accountable plan in process with your employer, you can go ahead and present that log of your expenses, and they can take advantage of the home office deduction as well. So how much is a deduction, and what is the advantage of the home office deduction? Deduction can be any amount up to the amount of the zeroing on the gross income. Essentially, what this means is that irrespective of how much basically your home office deduction is, the number that you arrive on, you can only go up to allowing you to zeroing on your gross income. You cannot go negative below that. So now, if the deduction exceeds the zeroing on the gross income, the remainder can be carried over to the next year. Essentially, once you calculate your home office deduction, if you happen to go above the amount that zeroes on your gross income, you can save that amount, and on your preceding years, whether it's preceding or future years, you can go and carry them over. Now, in addition to reducing the gross income, the other advantage is that it allows taxpayers to count in the commuting between their home office to job sites or business-related activities as travel expense. So here's the beauty of home office deduction. So once you establish that you do have a home office, the commuting that you do between your home to job sites, or if you happen to go to on a business related activity, that commuting travel distance can also be counted as a travel expense, whether as a standard mileage or actual expense. Rule number 2, the home office has to be the principal place for trade or business. So what that means is that if you have a office outside your home that you use for your business, and that happens to be the principal place of your business or trade, you cannot claim the home office deduction. Now there are some criteria that you can also take into consideration when you're trying to determine if your home is considered the principal place of your business. Number 1 is that hobbies do not count. If your activity is considered a hobby as far as IRS is concerned, you cannot claim the home office deduction. The next matter that factors in is that if the relative importance of the activities performed at each place where you conduct business. So let's say you have 2 or even multiple places that you're conducting your business. You have to take into account how important and relevant that is, the activities that you do at home to compared to what you do in other location of your business, in trying to determine if in fact your home is a principal place of your business. The amount of the time spent at each place where you conduct business. You use it exclusively and regularly for administrative or management activities. So one particular aspect of every trade or business is the administrative and management activities of it. In the next slide, we're going to go over this to understand what are considered administrative or management activities. But this is another criteria that if you basically pay your time trying to fulfill the administrative management aspect of your business, your home can be considered the principal place of your business. You have no other fixed location where you conduct substantial administrative management activities of your trade or business. So following in the same footnote, basically if you don't have any other place that you do particularly the administrative or management aspect of your business, you could also claim your home as your principal place of business. Now, what are the exceptions to this rule that your home has to be the principal place of the business? So there are a few rules that nonetheless can present the argument that your home is considered in fact the principal place of your business. So the first one is that you have others conduct your administrative or management activities at locations other than your home. So if you are essentially outsourcing your administrative or management activities to another firm, for example, that's an exception that you can rely on. You conduct administrative or management activities at places that are not fixed locations of your business, such as in a car or a hotel room. So let's say, type of business that you're running is something that requires you to, be mobile, essentially, or, visiting multiple job sites. You need to be at a hotel, you need to be on a move, basically. That is another argument that you present, saying that you don't have a fixed location. So you truly do require to have a fixed location such as your home to try to fulfill the duties of your business. You occasionally conduct minimal administrative or management activities at a fixed location outside your home. So just the mere fact that once in a while you do conduct some minimal administrative management activities at a different location for your business, does also help you out to establish that, your home is the principal place. You conduct substantial non-administrative or non-management business activities at a fixed location outside your home. For example, you meet with or provide services to customers, clients, or patients at a fixed location of the business outside your home. So if you conduct substantial, non-administrative or non-management aspects of your business, outside your home, that's another category that, helps you out. You have suitable space to conduct administrative or management activities outside your home, but choose to use your home office for those activities instead. So even if you have another location outside your home that you could potentially use for administrative or management aspects of your business, but if you choose not to do it there, you can also then again revert to establishing that your home is the principal place of your business. Now, speaking of the administrative or management aspect of the business, these are the few examples that fulfill that aspect. So billing customers, clients, or patients, keeping books of record, ordering supplies, setting up appointments, forwarding orders, and writing reports. These are some examples that basically are considered as administrative or management activities. So how do we go about actually taking the home office deduction? So there are two methods that you can go about this. The first one is the simple and simplified method, although it does have some limitations. But essentially, the simplified method allows you to deduct $5 per square foot up to 300 square foot of the space that you have designated for your home office, to try to calculate your home office expense. Now, one caveat to this is that, so if you do happen to, say move, or you do have multiple locations that, were your house essentially throughout the year, this simplified method would be available just on the first home office deduction that you're going to calculate. For the rest, you have to use the actual cost method. Now we're going to go over the simplified method as well. But the second method is the actual cost method. Essentially, you would deduct the actual cost of the expenses related to the business. So you would be just going over, all the expenses for your houses, say for example your rent, the interest on your mortgage that you're paying, utilities, pest control, various other forms, and you come up with a number, and that would be the actual cost that you would be using to try to calculate. One thing to basically keep in mind is that if you're using the accountable plan, you have to use the actual cost. You cannot use the simplified method. Let's go over how we calculate the simplified method. So the first thing that you're going to do is that you're going to find the number of the months the home was used for your business, and then divide it by 12. And then multiply the fraction by the amount below. So unless you use your home for the entire year, you want to go ahead and try to count the number of the months that you use your home for your business, and then you want to divide it by 12. You arrive at a fraction, and then we're going to go ahead and jump to the next step. Find the square footage of home office area up to 300 square feet. So you're going to try to measure how much is the home office area that you're using, but only up to 300, and then multiply it by $5. If you are in the business of the daycare, there's a different method for this. You have to find the amount of hours spent on daycare business and divide by the total amount of hours in a year. So let's say 8 hours throughout the morning, throughout the weekdays in a given week. You use your home as a daycare, you want to count the number of the hours that you know, in aggregate you spent on the day office, and then you divide it by 8,760 hours. Now let's go over how to do the actual cost method. So the first step is to find the number of months the home was used for business and divide by 12. Then again, it's the same thing as the simplified method. In the second stage, you're going to find the square footage of home office area and the total area of the entire home. So what you need to do then again is that you need to measure the square footage of the designated home office area, and then also measure the area of the entire house. And then, you know, you have to divide the home office area by the entire house, and the fraction that you get, say for example, if it's 1/10 of your home office, that is the fraction that, you know, you can multiply it by the you know, your expenses for your housing. Now unique to the daycares, then again, to try to calculate the basically that fraction, you want to find the amount of hours spent on daycare business and then divide it by 8,760 hours in the same manner as the simplified method. Now there are two sets of expenses that you can count for your housing expenses. The first one is the direct expense. Now what that means is that expenses unique to the home office area, such as building shelves, partitioning, or painting, for instance. So essentially what direct expense is, that expenses that are unique to that portion of the home office, not the entire house. You know, if you had to say do remodeling, you know, do something specific to that unit, or do some repairs to, you know, that segments of your house to try to make it available to be, you know, basically readily usable for, you know, home office area. Or in the same manner, let's say if you're doing an inventory, you need to build shelves, for example, there to try to store your inventory. That's the direct expense. Indirect cost is the entire expenses of the home. So the indirect cost essentially is the cost for an entire house, you know, amount that you pay for your rent, you know, or your utilities, pest control, you know, internet, things of that nature. And then given that ratio of the home office to the entire house, you know, basically you can calculate how much is the deductible amount for your home office. Now, as I said, there are scenarios that you may move, for example, or you, for various reasons, you have multiple residences throughout the year. If you have multiple residences throughout the year that you use as home office, you can separately calculate and deduct each residence expense on a different form, basically. In case of Schedule C, you know, on a different 8829 form. And then the only thing you have to keep in mind is that to qualify as a home office in this scenario, you have to have stayed minimum 15 days in that location. If you want to use the simplified method, you can only use the simplified method for the first home. So now we know everything that we need to do the home office deduction, and let's move on to the next segment where we're going to do the actual example. In this example, we have a fictitious person. We reported his income on Schedule C as self-employment. On line 1, we arrive at the income of $5,500. We went ahead and calculated his home office deduction on Form 8829 here. So on part 1, on line 1, we're going to go ahead and put down the square footage of this home office designated area, which was calculated as 450 square feet. Its entire house square footage was 2,500. That gives us the fraction of 18%. So on part 2, we're going to go ahead and figure out the deductions he had a set of direct expenses as well as the indirect expenses. He had a repair and maintenance expense of $700 that he paid for his home office area, and he had a set of expenses that was for his entire house. He had real estate taxes in an amount of $500, and then he also paid $12,000 throughout the year for rent, $2,000 for utilities, and that essentially will bring the whole thing, once calculated, at $3,310. So we go ahead and copy this amount and we put it on the Schedule C, line 30, as other expenses, and his net profit will be $2,190.